Good morning. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Josh. I'm going to be your presenter today. So I'm just going to kind of show you some things today that I think will help kind of keep your chart of accounts manageable, uncluttered. And that's certainly if you're talking about working like, here we are at the end of 25, folks are preparing to start 26. This is a good time to consider doing sort of some of these things. Start of the new year too is also a good time for that. So that's why we talk about this now, is because, it's a good time to do it, okay? Lots of folks look at a change of year as a time to make changes to their chart of accounts, whether that's setting up the new year in 26. And as you can see here on our home screen, I have opened up my 2026 accounting year here. All right. Why? Because we can. All right. And that's one of the things that we really like to talk about. And we talked about it during the setting up the next accounting year or new accounting year webinar a couple weeks ago was, folks, get that new year open. You're not closing 25. You're simply opening 26. You're cleaning up your chart of accounts. You're entering your budget figures. You're reorganizing the chart of accounts. You're doing adding new funds with income and expenses and things like that. So we're not actually going to begin posting in 26 until we get to that year, but I can be well prepared for it by opening my accounting year now. And this cleanup of the chart of accounts kind of ties into that a little bit, okay? Again, so just be aware, open 2026. Not closing 25, just opening 26. All right. Chart of accounts. If we go into manage accounts here in the middle and go into our chart of accounts or chart of accounts in view in the upper left, I really like to remind folks of this simply because it's something which is frequently or commonly overlooked, and that is that we can make changes to account names and account numbers in our chart of accounts at any time, okay? I don't need to wait for the new year or for a year to end before I go in and make changes to my chart of accounts. In fact, we would strongly recommend that if you are going to be making changes to your chart of accounts, that you do those in your prior year so those changes then can be brought forward into the new year systematically when you bring forward your chart of accounts. Most folks are not going to start over and enter a new chart of accounts, though that is an option that you have. If you're doing that, then you've got, freedom to set up your new chart of accounts any way you want. So we're really only talking about if the intention is to bring forward or copy forward our 2025 chart of accounts into 2026, which is essentially what we've done here at our chart of accounts, okay? But I'm going to say it again. Changing account names and account numbers on the chart of accounts is permissible at any time, all right? Deleting accounts may not be. All right, if accounts have transactions posted to them or a balance in the account, even transactions if they were entered and later reversed, that's part of the audit trail. The account cannot be deleted, okay? And I talk about this because I hear about it a lot on my support calls. Folks also feel like they go, okay, I want to make a different account name or want to change a number or a name of an account. So I'm going to delete the old account and then I'm going to re-add a new account to the chart of accounts. Okay. Well, we don't want you to do that either because, if we go down here and we've got, say, some income and expenses, right, that we've got activity in for prior periods or prior year, I use that prior year column on my treasurer's report. If I delete that account, it disconnects it from the account in the previous year. And then when I go in and run my reports, it goes, wait a minute, I don't have a history on that account. So you don't want to delete and re-add accounts. If anything, just rename them and renumber them. You can do that, folks, right here. Notice when I click in, a telephone, if I click in there in telephone, I can just type in expense. And I'm saying that, that's just a simplistic example of that. But I can go in and change the name of any account in my chart of accounts at any time. Same is true for numbers right here. If I go ahead and change this and I go, okay, I want to change this to 352, that expense account, see? So I can change the numbers here anytime. It doesn't matter when it is, whether that's in 25 or 26. Now I've made this change in 26, so these changes are not retroactive to 25. Hence, again, the why the chart of accounts is separate each year. Even though my 2026 chart of accounts is an exact duplicate copy of my 25 chart of accounts, my changes are not retroactive into the prior year. This is why, again, if I'm wanting to make these changes, now again, the accounts aren't disconnected. In the prior year, it's just going to be called telephone and not with expense, and it'll be 510,350 in the prior year, but the two accounts will still be tied together. They're still connected, okay? And so that's why, you can, as long as I'm not deleting and re-adding the accounts, it's going to do that. It's going to keep that connection together. Folks, if you haven't already opened the new year, it is best to go back and make the changes or to make your changes in the prior year. So when you bring forward or open your 26 year and copy your chart of accounts forward, it's got those changes in it, okay? But if you don't, and you've already got 26 open, you still can go back into 25 and make changes and deletions and things like that. However, if you do that, you may have to come back into the new year. Let's change back into 26 here. You may have to go back up to Special Functions, Manage Years, and choose Recopy Chart of Accounts from Prior Accounting Years. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes on this because it's important. So right here, notice the very first button in the list. This is, button 1 over here, and this is button 2 down here. So this one says delete January through December 26 and recopy chart of accounts from 25, okay? Well, what that does is it just completely wipes out my 2026 accounting year and just recopies forward the new chart of accounts from 25. So what does that mean? Well, it means that any work that I did in 26, my new year, like entering my budget figures and all that other stuff, any changes to my chart of accounts, deletions that I did, they're all gone. I have to go back in and do those again, okay? One stresses the good reason, to make sure you've got a backup of your data before you open the new year, okay? But it also means that it may be better for me to use this other second option of update the January through December account details from January through December 2025. What does that do? That basically just brings forward like updated ad names and addresses, account names, account numbers without deleting and re-entering the chart of accounts, recopying forward the chart of accounts, okay? So if you've gone back into 25 after opening 26, all right, and you make those changes and you want to try to bring forward those changes, our recommendation would be that update account details be the first thing that you consider doing, okay? So let's just basically show like an example here, okay? So if I go back up to Special Functions, Manage Years, go back into 25, let me go to my chart of accounts here, and let's say I want to change my prepaid pledges account and I want to move that down to like a 2900 series. So here I want to go, okay, 9, I'm making that 290-100. Now it's conflicting. I'm sorry, that was a bad choice. Let's go 280. That looks like that's available. Come on, Josh, you can do this. 80, there we go. Now it should not, did I do 2? Yeah, that should be okay. Oh, got to get a 0 or 100 in there. 10. I'm really having a hard time here today. There we go. So there's my prepaid pledges is 280-100. That's now only done in 2025, okay? It's not in 2026. So if I go back up now to Special Functions, Manage Years, change into 26, now go back up to Special Functions, Manage Years, and recopy. If I choose Update Account Details, it says, are you sure you want to replace account details? Not the chart of accounts, the account details. Account names, account numbers, addresses, names, vendors, payee names, all that stuff. There from 26, 426 from 25, I click yes. Okay. Now when I go into my chart of accounts in 26, down here now, my prepaid pledges now shows my 280-100. It was the 260-100 that I had that I had changed that I had brought forward from the prior year. So you see, it does bring forward any account changes without deleting the accounts and re-adding them. All my accounts are still connected. Any names and addresses that I'd made under liabilities or vendors here would be all brought forward and updated correctly, okay? So try that update account details, and this would be really important. It's pretty rare that I walk through folks recopying their chart of accounts entirely, okay? Now, where that might be important, and this is, this is a very, very, very important feature or step in Church Windows as well in accounting. Since we're talking about cleaning up accounts, even if I've opened 2026, here we are in mid to late November 2025, right? If I go back into 2025, I just strongly advise that folks go up to special functions, manage years, and look at this function about near the bottom called delete unused accounts. Okay. I think this is a frequently and commonly overlooked feature in Church Windows, in accounting notably. But this is any account in my chart of accounts in 2025 that has no audit history in the past 2 years, and let me point out that terminology right up here. Choose from the accounts below to delete. Accounts eligible not beginning balances nor had transactions in the prior system checks or prior system checks posted in the last 2 years. Okay, really important. Okay, so notice here, these are accounts that I have nothing to worry about in terms of the audit history since from 24 to 25 at this point. Shows me the type of an account it is over here on the right-hand side, type, okay? Last used, okay? Some of these say 1/1/1900. What that means is the software essentially doesn't remember the last time the account was used, if ever, all right? The type of an account it is it a liability? Is it an income or an expense? And the account name, okay? So this is a really important window. I can click on the type column and it'll organize it by type. So notice here, I've got Fifth Third Money Market. There's no account balance in there. I can get rid of that account. Liabilities, income accounts, expenses, okay? AP vendors, all right? This window, you might be surprised at what you can actually clean up in 2025 by going into this window and removing accounts. What happens if you delete an account you shouldn't have deleted? You just add it back to the chart of accounts. Okay. All right. Yeah, you might need to match it back to another account of the, for that account from a prior period, but that's not a difficult process. All right. But there's nothing in these accounts for the past 2 years that I need to worry about. I could do them all if I want. All right. But last use date, notice some of these were 2012, 13, 14. Some of them haven't been used in a long, long time. Why am I keeping them in my chart of accounts? And why am I cluttering up my chart of accounts? Now, again, if I delete these in 25, it's not deleting those same accounts in 26. Why? Because I've already brought my chart of accounts forward. All right. So if I go, okay, Trinity Supplies, haven't used them since 2014. Right, where was it? Trinity Supplies, there it is. So if I delete that account, and if I go Dell's Frozen Foods, those, these are AP vendor accounts, okay, and I click delete selected accounts, it zaps those out. It says 2 accounts were deleted. Deleting these accounts may have caused new accounts to be available for deletion. That's really to do with funds, okay, because with income and expenses maybe being gone, a fund might pop up to delete as well now. But these are liabilities. But if I go back into special functions, manage years, change to another existing accounting year, and go into my chart of accounts, Del Smith Frozen Foods is still there. All right. Trinity Supplies is still in my chart of accounts. All right. Because 2025 chart of accounts is separate from 2026. It's not fluid. They are completely separate entities. I can try going up to manage years, recopy chart of accounts, and choose update account details from 2025. But in my experience, that does not delete those. I could be wrong. Let's try it. So we're going to update the accounting details again, and then we're going to go back in, and maybe I'll be surprised. But I thought I tried this before, Yep, Del Smith's Frozen Foods is still there. All right. So that is the situation where now with Trinity Supplies, I have two options, right? I can go back, I can find these accounts here in my chart of accounts, go to the tree view tab here and I can right click over it and manually delete them. Or I can go back up to special functions, manage years, delete unused accounts and delete them there as well. Okay. Or third and final option, if again, I've not done any work to speak of in my new year, I can simply choose recopy chart of accounts from prior accounting year and choose the option delete January 2026 and recopy from 25. Okay. Like I said, that wipes out everything in 2026 and replaces it with the chart of accounts and any budget figures or what have you that I've done. And I have entered budget figures for 2026, so I'm not prepared to do that. Okay, I'm not going to recopy the chart of accounts. But I've tried the update of the account details and that didn't fix anything. Okay, so now I'm going to go into manage accounts or special functions, manage years, and delete unused accounts. And let's see, where are they? They're in here. They're in this list. They don't have any audit history in this year either, so I can delete them here in this list untiered. Now look at my unused accounts list here is much bigger. Why in 26? Because I have no activity in my income and expense accounts here for 2026. So it basically goes, hey, there's no audit history in 26 or 25 for some of these. So I'm going to give you more availability to delete accounts that I see are eligible for deletion. Okay. So just be aware, you've got lots of flexibility, folks, in terms of cleaning up this chart of accounts. One of the things that I see on my support calls more often than anything else is when dealing with cleaning up accounting is folks think that the chart of accounts is fluid. Well, isn't deleting an account in 2025 or 2026 deleting that account in earlier years? Absolutely not. It does not delete anything in any other accounting year. All right. So all of a sudden they go, oh, well, I've got a 40-page chart of accounts, and then they wind up getting that down to a manageable, 10 or 8 or 10-page chart of accounts. So keep that chart of accounts cleaned up using this function, okay? As I was stating before, even now in 26, I can go up to, say, special functions and change account number structure, okay? It's my renumber chart of accounts. Warns me about exclusive access, so I'm going to click OK on that. But here's my chart of accounts. See, so for 26, and over here on the left, it says account number before renumbering. Let me steer some focus here. Account number before renumbering right here. Account number after renumbering. So I can literally, if I've got a lot of accounts that I'm wanting to make a broad change to a lot of accounts, I'm going to come into this renumber chart of accounts window. Okay, and I'm going to go down in here and I'm simply going to make these changes. Why do I want to go into and make it a really long and tedious process and edit individual accounts when all I have to do is come in here, simply change the numbers for each one of these accounts that I'm wanting, and then when I'm done, click Save at the top. As long as there's no red in here, okay? So if I say put in here, like, let me try to find one here. Let's maybe find what I'm talking about here, pension payable. So let's say I backspace and make that 140. See, no, I'm trying, I'm having a hard time with those numbers. See, now if I click save, it says chart of accounts contains accounts with duplicate or unentered account numbers which must be resolved before saving. And there it warns me of my conflict. I go, oh, my health insurance payable and my pension payable have the same number. So now I can just go in there and change that and get those back, and now the conflict is dealt with, and I can make a different choice for my account numbers, and then only either click cancel or save in this case. But this is the place where I'm going to make a really big change and make this process really simple and easy. I can literally go down the list here and edit any of my account numbers. I can't edit names here, but I can edit my account numbers quickly and easily, including my ledger accounts too. Or can I? Basically, no, I can only edit the main account here. Wonder where those others are. Oh, financial secretary, senior pastor. This is a good question. I thought we would see those other ones in here. Let's see, senior minister. Oh yeah, there it is. Account number before renumbering account number. So even with ledgers and sub-accounts, you can do the renumber right here. Absolutely. Like I said, folks, you can't save it until all conflicts are dealt with. You could do some of them today and have the other half tomorrow if you want. Doesn't matter as long as the conflicts are dealt with. Simply click Save. If you need to change your account number structure, you simply go to the button here to the right called Change Structure, right? So here it says, okay, here's my current structure. So 1 digit, separator 2 digits, separator 3 digits. Typically, folks, I always advise it's easier to add numbers into this function or routine than taking them away. Why? Because if I take away a number here and click OK, it's going to pop up with all kinds of conflicts. So it's typically always easier to add account number digits to account numbers rather than taking them away. Okay? So just keep in mind, and even now it's still got conflicts. So I'm just going to cancel out of that. Okay? This is, again, a situation where you would want to make sure that you were maybe making a backup before you started this, folks. Backups are peace of mind, okay? They can make you, allow you to proceed confidently with trying something, knowing you can get back to where you needed or where you started with little effort or work having been put into it, okay? Like I said, delete unused accounts. Go back in there and look and see what you can clean up in 25 or 26, okay? Let's see. I'm going to look at my notes here real quick here. Yeah, and like I say, folks, that the updating of the accounts details, I made changes to my budgets. So when I went in and made changes here, it did not update my budget figures. Okay, so when I did the update details, it didn't look at that. It only looked at, it just kept the budget exactly as I had it entered. Updating the account details just looks at account names, account numbers, vendor information, you know, things like that, but it doesn't delete any of that, any of those accounts and add them back to the chart of accounts. That's what your recopy chart of accounts. Okay, final topic here before we call it a day today. Folks, now's the time to begin looking at things like your, accounts payable vendors, okay? Keeping an eye on those balances in those vendors, outstanding bills, all right? If I go to pay bills, quick pay and view outstanding bills, what do I got here? Oh, look, I've got a couple bills or a bill from 2024 that's been in here, all right? I got to figure that out, all right? Same thing is true here under quick pay and view vendors with the balance. Look at these vendors with the balance in here to make sure that if there's certainly things expected to be balances brought forward, 941 taxes, state taxes, maybe even local, mortgage balance in here would show, or a loan balance. Anything that's maybe payroll related that's involving taxes or benefits or deductions of some kind, those I would expect. But if there's anything in this list, like my Chase Bank Visa here, I don't want to leave that going on for any longer than I need to. All right. And what I can say is I was really pleased about this a couple of versions ago, or in version 26 when we added this, and under view outstanding bills, that if I go in here now, with these outstanding bills, and I tried to close either 24 or 25, or even 26, use the hard close function, it's going to tell me that I've got outstanding bills from 2024 and I can't close the year, because we've seen this create all kinds of problems for our users and for us as the software developer. So if you have any outstanding bills in this list, you're not going to be able to close your year. So this is the time to keep an eye on that. Again, less than 6 weeks left to go in the year, folks. You want to keep this cleared out, okay? And it's fine if you've got bills that are outstanding that you don't want to pay until 2026, fine. wait and close the year until after you've paid those bills in 2026 from 2025. There's nothing wrong with that. The software is just trying to protect you from doing something that you don't want or shouldn't do, because of this problem. This situation has generated all kinds of problems for folks when the software permitted closing a year and there were outstanding bills. So I will just want to point out again, at our website here under Customer Support and Resource Center, let's go to here. If I go down and I type in outstanding, there's review outstanding bills and vendors with a balance. There's a video and a document, video on that topic I did last year or earlier last year, and there's a review outstanding bills and review vendors with a balance document there for you to review. Okay? So just begin keeping an eye on keeping things cleaned up in your chart of accounts, whether it's now at the end of 25 or for the start of 2026. And when you have questions about any of it, please call us. All right, folks, that is where I'm going to leave our topic for today.